All right, Shalom. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. I'd also like to give double honors to my elders and apostles at Great Millstone that do good well. And I would like to say peace and salutations to the Lord's elect, the hopeful elect in the 1/3, and Lord's will this lesson will be edifying as well as exhorting to the sincere sheep of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash, and Tawada. Yahweh Bashim Shai, Bashim Rakakwadash, for give me the inspiration to do this lesson. And as the title reads, the 12 tribe chart has Gentiles on it. All right. And, pretty much I just want to do some edification. It was pressed upon my spirit. I was reading into, the prophecies pertaining to the light, being the Gentiles shall seek, be a light unto the Gentiles. Many scriptures pertaining to the restoration of Israel, in the latter days. And it gives us, clarity and understanding of who the gospel's for and how the misconception of the Gentiles, meaning any other nation, can be grafted in or allowed salvation, how that's actually a false doctrine, okay? Because when it refers to Gentiles, first let me just say this. You also have to wrap your mind around what the word Gentile means. So, before I guess I go into that, let me check the audio. Before I go into that, really would like to touch on the 12 tribes chart, because that's really going to be the foundation for this lesson. Okay, as you see right here, this is the 12 tribes chart we use. And I'm going to just say it like this. So it says the 12 tribes of Israel, and you see the 12 tribes of Israel right here. Okay, but on the right side, you see what? Gentiles. Okay, because the word Gentile, it has a few meanings, but in a nutshell, okay, it just means nations. Okay, so it's just a compiling of people. All right, so right here we see a compiling of nations that are not the land of Judah or not the land of Benjamin. See, these are all Israelites over here. Okay, but over here these are Gentile nations, because our people was scattered in Gentile nations or lands. Okay, so I find it funny that Christians have a problem with the 12 tribes chart, but the calling out to the Gentiles is on the 12 tribes chart. Negroes are Gentiles. West Indian, Haitian, Dominican, Guatemalan, Panama, Puerto Rico. That's all lands of the Gentiles, just like Corinthians, Ephesians, Ephesus, Thessalonica. Those are all lands of Gentiles. So I find it very funny that right here, even the 12 tribes chart has salvation open to Gentiles, but because it's breaking down that not only is it open to Gentiles, but these Gentiles are Israelites that lost their nationality, that's where the problem comes in. So let's just jump right into it. I do have a lot of information. I have a lot of angles that Adon Ratazah I will be able to go into this week. I have a lot of different topics pertaining around Gentiles, pertaining around Apostle Paul. So I'd like to get those out. But the first lesson that came to mind is, first addressing the 12 tribes chart and how actually there are Gentiles on it. Okay, if you want to speak about Gentiles, you need to understand what the word Gentile means first. Okay, so let's go into the 12 tribes chart. Let's use this as a foundation, and then let's go into the scriptures further. This is Ezekiel 37:15. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions, and join them one to another into one stick. See that? Join them together into one stick. All right. This is prophecy. Understand the 12 tribes chart is prophecy, and the 12 tribes chart shows the light unto the Gentiles that ultimately we see being fulfilled with us being restored back. And the 12 tribes chart is playing a major part within that. Okay, because watch, I'm going to explain why. It says, and when the children of thy people. So now we see that the 12 tribes chart, the prophecy that has been fulfilled in this time after the prophecy of Malachi, the 4th chapter. All right, turning the children to the father, sending Elijah back. Okay, sending Elijah back, right? And it says, and when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, they're going to speak to you where? When you're out in the street teaching, holding the 12 tribes chart. But the people that are going to ask you what this means, look, saying, will thou not show us what thou meanest by these? And then you're going to say, well, what nationality are you? Well, they're going to give you a nationality of a Gentile. They're not going to say, oh, I'm, Bun God, Bun Yasharala, Shalom, Akya. No, they're going to say, shit, man, black, man. So you have Gentiles coming up to camp, and they're asking about a 12 tribes chart with their Gentile nation on it, and asking why their Gentile nation is equated to the tribe of Judah. Or a Puerto Rican comes up. Where are you from? I'm from the rich port. Well, that's a Gentile nation. That's not an Israelite nation. That is a Gentile nation. And this Gentile is coming up inquiring why his nationality as a Gentile is on this chart equated to the tribe of Ephraim. Okay, so this proves you right here that Christianity, which we know, but Christianity in a nutshell, they speak about salvation for the Gentiles, but we're showing you right here in the 12 tribes chart that the salvation is for the Gentiles, but it's open to the Gentiles because the Israelites were scattered among the Gentiles. You see, it's very simple. It's very simple when you go into it. Now, let's just go into this. So what I did was I put the word Gentiles, and it goes into the Old Testament. Then I also put the word Gentile, which goes in more in the New Testament. Now, what I want to show you is when you look up the word Gentile right here, Genesis 10, it says, by these were the isles of the Gentiles. Now, when you look this word Gentile up, it's actually painted with a very broad brush. This is why context is extremely important when it comes to the scriptures. So when you look up the word Gentile, look, it means nation, people, usually of non-Hebrew people. Well, wait a minute. Hebrew, that's the line of Shem, which Esau, you're a Hebrew. Okay. So now what's that mean? Now, see, wait a minute. You're a Hebrew. I'm being funny. Now it says, look, descendants of Abraham and look, of Israel. So the word Gentile can mean exactly that, just nation, or the word Gentile can actually be equating to the nation of Israel. So people have a misconception when they just throw this word Gentile out there. So going back, so the word Gentile can just mean people or nation. When you look on the 12 tribes chart, it has people or nations that are not quote unquote demographically associated with the land of Israel. Okay. Meaning, what does African Americans have to do with the land of Judah? You see? Oh, because they're Gentiles. Just like you would say, well, it says that the Corinthians, those are Gentiles. Now, let me show you a quick point pertaining to that. So look at this for a good example. So when you go into the book of Corinthians, okay, just hear me out. So in the Old Testament, per se, it would specifically speak to Judah. But then in the New Testament, it's now speaking to who? The Corinthians. All right. This is after the Gospels, of course, which I'm going to go into a lesson pertaining to that too, because I want to show you the prophecies of how Yahushua was a light unto the Gentiles, and that Gentiles are speaking about his own people. All right. This is why you have the book of Corinthians or the Ephesians or Ephesus today. It's very, very simple. So look at this. 1 Corinthians 1:1. Paul, called to be an apostle of Yahushua HaMashiach through the will of Yahweh, and Sosthenes, our brother, unto the church of Yahweh, which is at Corinth. So Apostle Paul is speaking specifically to a church that is located in the land of Corinth. Okay. It says, to them that are sanctified in Hamashiach Yahushai, called to be saints. So when you go into Psalms, the 148th chapter, we see that the biblical definition for the word saint is equated only to the nation or people of Israel. You see, it says Psalms 148:14, he also exalted the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints, even of the children of Israel. Now, someone could say, well, it says, oh, even. All right, well, look, go to the NKJV. It says, and he has exalted the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints, of the children of Israel, a people near to him, praise the Lord. So right here is a good example to show you the 12 tribes chart, compare and contrast, where in one instant, we know that the saints, right, are Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Naphtali, Asher, Issachar. But then in another breath, that's the title that's equated to these people is applied to a Negro, West Indian, Haitian, Dominican, Guatemalan, Puerto Rican, Cuban, North American Indian, Seminole, and so on. So right here is showing you how, just like in the letters, the precepts that apply to Israel are applying now to these Gentile servants or saints, because these Gentiles are the Israelites that were lost. You see that? So it's very simple. And I find it actually comical how the whole premise of Christianity is based off salvation for the Gentiles. And one thing that vocab has not mentioned that on the 12 tribes chart is actually Gentiles. Now let's take this prophecy. Let's take this word a step further and let's apply it with prophecy. Okay, so I wanted to use that quick example to show you. So now we see the word Gentile can mean nations, or it can also mean of Israel. So when you go down, you start seeing Gentiles. But mind you, you see the word Gentile also mixed in with noted men and of nations. See this, look, king of Canaan, but then it goes into the Gentiles. So just because it says Gentile doesn't necessarily mean that the Gentiles it's speaking to are people that don't have a nation of their own. Okay, so like Babylon is a mix, many nations, people, and tongue. Babylon's filled with Gentiles. So what Gentiles in Babylon is salvation for? That's all it is. Okay, but I like sticking on this fact that there are Gentiles on the 12 tribes chart, and salvation has been opened unto them, because it literally proves the point of the doctrine and understanding and breakdowns that the Gentiles that salvation is open unto is the people that salvation is only for, and that's the nation of Israel that got scattered into lands of the Gentiles. Okay, now let's go down. Look at this. Now watch this. Isaiah 11 and 10. Okay, check this out. Isaiah 11 and 10. It says, and in that day there shall be a root of Jesse. Now this root of Jesse is speaking about Yahushai, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. What? To the Jew first, right? To the Israelites. This is why when Yahushua was on the scene, his main focus was to gather his people in the land of Jerusalem before the gospel was open unto the Israelites scattered abroad, which makes sense, okay? Because just like how it says, we prophesize not to those that believe not, but to those that believe. So when Yahushua came, the first thing you're going to do is tell the Israelites that are aware of us as Israelites. But then the relearning and the opening of your nationality came to you through, Apostle Paul, okay, the Acts 10, Cornelius, things of that nature. So there's a lot to speak on, which I want to do a lesson on that as well, going further about the light to the Gentiles, which truly just cuts the doctrine of their understanding. And we're doing it right now and showing you, wait a minute, salvation is unto the Gentiles. Look at all these Gentiles on the 12 tribe chart. How are you going to tell us salvation? Or are you going to say salvation's for the Gentiles? We're saying we agree. These are the Gentiles that salvation is for, including other lands. Okay. So we see the Gentiles right here, but then prophecy shows us that Gentiles, it's been opened up to the Gentiles that are even further from the 12 tribes chart. I'm going to get that as well. So, hey, these guys are losing bad. Okay. You want to focus on the aspect of Gentiles? Let's go into it. And then for you to say that, he called the 12 tribes chart a vocab alone. He called the 12 tribe chart an idol. This is Ezekiel 30. That's blasphemy. This is Ezekiel 37. This is prophecy. This is legitimately prophecy, So let's just get this real quick. All right. It says Isaiah 11 and 10, and in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people being Israel. It says to it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. So right here, okay, it's showing you that the Gentiles, okay, are also seeking Yahweh Shai. Now, these Gentiles that are seeking Yahweh Shai are Israelites in heathen lands. That's all it is. It's just Israelites that are in heathen lands. So they're being referred to as Gentiles, because when you look this word Gentile up, it's very simple. Yes, it means nations, right? But it also means Israel. Look at this. Yes, nation, people, nation, but it also means of Israel. Yes, you can say, but it says nations. It does, but then we have precepts to have understanding why it just says Gentiles, because Israel was scattered among the Gentiles. And let's prove this prophecy. Okay, Isaiah 11:11. This cuts the whole Gentile thing right here. Okay, so yes, Gentiles are on the 12 tribes chart. All right, but those Gentiles that are on the 12 tribes chart are their nationality are Israelites. Okay, they may be calling themselves Corinthians. They may be calling themselves New Yorkians. Okay, they may be calling themselves Ephesians, but their nationality or their stock or their lineage, lineage is of Israel. Okay, it's very simple. Isaiah 11:11, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left, look, from Assyria and from Egypt, from the West Indies, from Hades, from Dominican, from the Panama, from Puerto Rico, from Cuba, from North America, see, from Florida, from Babylon. Let's keep going. From Babylon, from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. So right here, the 12 tribes chart is literally prophecy in more ways than one. Okay, this is Ezekiel 37. It says, they said, what do you mean by this? See this? Back in this, Ezekiel 37:18. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, what will thou not shew us what thou meanest by this? Exactly. What do you mean by this? What do you mean that why is Haitians next to Levi? And then you explain to him, this is why you had the letters, okay? This is why he said to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. This is why Apostle Paul said, Romans 1:16, for I am not ashamed of the gospel of Hamashiach, for it is the power of Yahweh unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. Why? Because you had Israelites scattered in Greek. So if the 12 tribes chart was back then, it would have the nations of back then. You know, it would have Corinthians, Ephesians, Ephesus, Thessalonica. It would have Gentile titles. Okay, this is why there are Gentile nations on the 12 tribes chart, but they're equated next to the children of Israel, because this is the children of Israel that lost their nationality from that and now have a Gentile mindset and now are being restored back to who they are as a people. So it's saying, look, though ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, ye were without your commonwealth. Very simple. Look, ye were Gentiles. See, the 12 tribes chart, for ye were Gentiles. All right. What's that? 1 Corinthians 12, Ephesians 12, 1 Corinthians 12 and 2. 1 Corinthians 12 and 2. Ye know that ye were. This is Corinthians. The second verse in the first book of Corinthians, he's dedicating this letter to the saints. The only people in the Bible that's called saints is the Israelites that have been told that they're going to be gathered from the lands of the Gentiles. See? And he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Where Judah at? Well, he's an African-American. He's a Brazilian. He's in France. He's in Britain. He's in London. He's everywhere. Okay, so we gotta go and tell them that are in France and Africa and America that come back. Those that believe, come back. So that's what the 12 chart. That's what the 12 tribe chart does. Is it has a doorway that opens unto the Gentiles of who they are. Okay, though ye were Gentiles carried away. And all these tribes got some dumb idol that they're into today. But then walking down the street, prophecy being fulfilled, asking what meaneth thou by these, then it's broken down and explained to you as a so-called Negro, as a so-called Corinthian, as a so-called Roman, as a so-called Thessalonican. Hey, you're not an Ephesian. You Zebulon. See, I'm using that hypothetically, even though we know the North already came over to the Americas. I'm using that in a hypothetical sense. So when you actually sit back and look, you go, oh, Gentiles are right here on the 12 tribes chart. What the hell are they talking about? We got it right here. And then right here, did I finish that in Romans? Yeah, I believe I did. To the Jew first, then the Greek. Yep. And then this is them being gathered. And then even take it a step further. This is why in Acts, the 2nd chapter, what does it say? What does it say? Okay, this is Acts 2:5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. So they knew that they were Jews in this time. But did all Israel know that they were Israel? Let me say this too. When you go into the timeline of us becoming Gentiles and you fast forward it to us in the Roman Empire, not every Israelite was in Jerusalem. This is why he said to the Jew first and the Greek, because we were scattered amongst the Greeks. Not every Israelite went back to Jerusalem and then the game continued and now we're all back in Jerusalem and nowhere else on the earth. You gotta get out of that simple ass mindset. All right. So now you have Jews, devout men out of every nation, and look at names of Parthenian, Acts 2:9, Parthian, Medes, Elamites, dwellers in Mesopotamia and in Judea and Cappadocia and Pontus and Asia and Phrygia. Phrygia is the neighbor to Ephesus. So you got Jews, devout men in Phrygia. You don't think you got Jews, devout men in Ephesus and Pamphylia and in Egypt and in the parts of Libya about Cyrene and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes. So right here, you even see Israelites in Rome. Israelites in Rome. Now you're in Rome with the revival. So now you're called Black. Now you're called Jamaican. Now you're called Haitian. Now you're called Dominican. Now you're called Puerto Rican. See, now you're called Native American, but the same people that were being called Corinthians, and these other nationalities, they were actually of Israel, but they were carried away. See, 1 Corinthians 12:2, and ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. What's this word Gentile mean? Let's see real quick. Ethnos. Ethnos. See that? Ethnos. Oh, look, a tribe, nation, people. Okay. Nations not worshiping the Most High. Yeah. Carried under dumb idols. Our people playing the whore, playing the harlot. So I'm going to cast you off to those people. So now the 12 tribes chart is letting us as an Israelite people know, even though you are Gentiles, salvation is open unto you. Now you can return. What did Apostle Paul say? I go unto the Gentiles. That's us. All right. That's us. Let's get that real quick. This is Acts. This is Acts 13. Yeah, this wasn't the time yet. This wasn't the time yet. It was after Yahushua's death and resurrection is when that was open and the Gentiles seeking him of Isaiah 10 or Isaiah 11 and ultimately going into now. Okay. Acts 18:6. And when they opposed themselves, talking about Jakes that knew they were Israelites, but didn't want to accept Yahushua and blaspheme, Apostle Paul, he shook his remnant and said unto them, your blood be upon your own heads. I am clean, for from henceforth I will go unto the Gentiles. See that? I will go unto the Gentiles. This is why he went to Corinthians, Ephesus, Rome, Italy. Okay, all those parts, Pontus, all those lands where Israel was scattered, but they weren't calling themselves Benjamin, Levi, Judah. They weren't calling themselves by these names, but they were calling themselves by the names of the letters that are we see today. You see? So it's very simple. All right. To the Jew first and the Greek being who? Israelites. You see? It's very simple. All right. So let's see. We got that. We made our points. I just wanted to touch on that real quick. I wanted to put that edification out there. Okay. Since you keep coming at the 12 tribes chart, You got to relax. The 12 tribes chart has Gentiles on it. The 12 tribes chart has Gentiles on it, which further proves the doctrine. Those Gentiles that salvation is open for are talking about the Israelites that are in a Gentile state of mind or in a Gentile land, a Gentile nation, okay, amongst the people. Very, very simple. So I just want to do that real quick lesson. I don't know, Tazah, I'm going to do a couple more lessons pertaining to this topic with different angles, going into Apostle Paul, applying in particular prophecies that only are meant for the nation of Israel, but he's using them when he's speaking to quote unquote Gentiles. So you put it together. See? So, hey, Lord's will, you are edified. Call halal, Yahweh, Bashim, Yahushai, Bashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone that do well. Peace and salutations to the Lord's elect. With that being said, Shalom.